Every cell of our bodies are being awakened to love. Yes, I also affirm different perspectives. Everybody's looking at the world differently, from where they're standing and where they come from. Different perspectives between you and me, discussing respectfully.
You never know just how you look through someone else's eyes. You never know just how you look through someone else's eyes. Different perspectives, taking off the disguise. No mask, it's time we realize we are all coming from the one eye. It's combined with the love that's flowing inside.
Combined with the love inside. Take off the mask, open your eyes. Let the light shine into your soul. The light of Jesus. The light of Jesus. The light of Jesus. Let it in. The light of Jesus.
Watching this, moving through the Christ consciousness, yeah, light it up from the inside, it's about time, moving through the outside, my karma expanding, as the Taurus keeps growing, there's a light that's been showing, and it's reflected when I connect to your eyes, resurrect vibes, that's never dead, yo, and this for the tribe, as we all move into the light, like a moth, right? Into the fire of the divine mother that's got us. Christ with consciousness. Just watch it. And it grows and it grows and it grows. As we flow and we flow and we flow. It's leading us back home. It's leading us back home into the realization that we're one with this and we're always seated right here on our throne. We all got the 4 in the crowns right now. Doesn't have to be an amanita cap on your top to realize that you are a king or you're a queen, and your divinity is never going to stop. Tap into the birthright. Words of Christ, you heard them right. Through the Saint Germain, the violet flame that keeps rising in. We see all of the ascended masters are all in one, and right here, our inner light just appears so clear.
Jesus Christ is the only one for me. He's my buddy, he's my homie. He's my savior, he's my savior, he's a savior. Get some chips and salsa, I'ma save some for ya. Gonna save some for ya. Oops, we already ate them all. Gonna have to make something for ya. Oops, gonna save some for ya. Gonna save some for ya. Gonna save some for ya.
WWJD, what would Jesus do. He would save you some chips, he wouldn't eat them all. He would save you some chips, Jesus would have some leftovers and some dip. Jesus would have some salsa and some guac for this, yeah. Jesus would probably have bean dip with cheese on top. Jesus' dips would never stop. Jesus would even have sauce to put on top. Jesus would have all the hot sauces, my dog. Jesus would have all the options for us. Even cilantro and fresh garden tomatoes. Red onions, so savorable. Flavors that flow, creating amazing textures inside of our mouth. Jesus was a chef, he would bring down the house. Jesus' tempeh would be so fermented. I would be like, yo, this medicine, let's get it. Jesus would make some good sweet potatoes that you could really bake. Jesus would make us a dish that if you were allergic to fish, it wouldn't even taste like it. He would make you some Thai that was the flies with the noodles coming off when we rhyme. Jesus would make you the best tacos and quesadillas too. Whatever cuisine Jesus was whipping up, yo, P the best food, that's true. Let's go.
If Jesus was a chef, WD, Jesus would do. WWWWJD, WWJD, WWJD.
You know what would be too fresh? Being Jesus' sous chef. You could learn from a master.
Learn from the best, please the rest. What you gotta do, get it off your chest. You already know that I'm down with Jesus Christ, and I'll tell you some more now. Yeah, the Jesus that I love is biblical, and I like to take it literal. I like to find the treasure behind those words, these pages. What's behind those words? What's behind those words? What's beneath the internal meaning? That's what I wanna know.
It's a never-ending conversation. All of these passages for contemplation. Whatever helps you think outside of the box, that's what I'm about. Never stop thoughts from flowing. Diving deeper down the rabbit hole, it's so natural. Jesus was a chef, he would whip up a real good casserole. Hey. Jesus would have the sharpest knives. Jesus would never starve the child. Jesus would really bring the harmonies. When the love is spread, you gon' start to see. Jesus would never make it the last supper. There'd be so much food that we would never suffer. Jesus would always make sure that you have a lot more. Thank you, Jesus, for this food. I got a cup of gratitude.
Got a cup of gratitude, that's the right attitude. Thank you, Jesus, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus, thank you, Lord. Thank you for the soul food and the food for thought. For the soul food, I said thanks a lot for everything that you do, and everything that you've done, and everything that you're still gonna do for me and my kin and my friend. If life was a battle we've already won.
Yeah. Jesus makes the bestest dish. He can even turn bread to fish. And I ain't never gonna whine, cause Jesus turning water into wine. Jesus doing miracles for show. Walking on water, really done glow. I never done this before. I was like, whoa. Jesus just made an explosion in my mouth. I call it a mouthgasm. I think I'm having a spasm. That bar was fantastic. I don't ever want the bites to stop. I'm feeling really full, but I just want to take another, and another, and another. The never-ending supper. Thanks to Flint Blade and Jesus. You can see this. We got the sauce, it's not a secret. You can peep it. Everybody wants to eat it. All the good food from Jesus.
There's enough to go around.
extra hot when you come to Jesus' restaurant. The food's always extra hot when you come to Jesus' restaurant. Yeah. The food's always extra hot when you come to Jesus' restaurant. And everyone wants to stop. Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
you come to Jesus' restaurant, all that the temperatures are just right. It's a Goldilocks vibe, and you know you can hang that all day and all night. If you need a late night snack, and you need that snack attack, and you think that's whack, just check out the food and take a bite and see the light, see the light of Jesus Christ, see the light in every bite, the light of Jesus Christ. The light of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Hey, 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 hey. Jesus' restaurant has the best napkins. They're made out of silk from Egypt. Jesus always has silverware that's made out of copper. You should peep it. Jesus has dish made out of clays that were made by pottery locals. Jesus always has love at his focal. Right in the middle of the table is a heart made of rose quartz. Yeah, and every dish that he makes somehow just works. Jesus can think of whatever he wants and manifests as the best dish. Customized to your DNA and your gut flora's tolerance. It's amazing. Jesus is food.
Food for the soul.
Jesus is food.
Eating at the Eucharist.
Fungi's doing his job to remind you that the mushrooms are the food of the gods. Hey, so take a bite of me and you might understand your dynasty. Oh, finally, we resurrecting from right now. From the root back up to the ground. Take the ham and eat a bite just like the old guys who used to follow Jesus back in the times.
Back in Jesus' times. You know how you sometimes get some avocado toast, and the toast is toasted, but the avocados themselves are not so warm. They're cold because they came from the fridge, and that's not the way that it's supposed to be. So when you come to Jesus' restaurant, you can take it from me or check it out for yourself. You're gonna see the avocados are fresh off the tree. Yeah, perfectly ripe, and they won't sitting around. They were picked just for me and you and me. Picked for the whole family. Yeah, perfectly ripe, room temperature avocados.
Yes, never refrigerated or frozen. You can start it and see it. Comes from the Garden of Eden. Yeah, all of the soil has its original mineral content. None of it is stripped like a monocrop. You wanna eat Jesus food and never stop. You'll never go back, you'll be spoiled for the rest of your life. You'll never have gas station processed food. Once you have what Jesus has in store for you, it'll send little sparks of light to your brain.
Sparks of light to your brain. Sparks of light to your brain. Sparks of your light to your brain. Thank you, Jesus. Sending sparks of light to my brain.
The food that he provides for my fam be decalcifying all the pineal glands.
Whoa, 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 whoa. My pineal gland just got decalcified.
It's about time.
Fungi Flows in the building.
Flint Blade.
Okay, I'm gonna get back
Hey.
on your level. I didn't, don't think that I was trying to have like a superior complex standing up at my station like that.
It's all love when we're rapping about Jesus food.
Right? Come on now. Okay, on to the next sensitive subject.
Come on now.
Let's get some takes, whether they're controversial or commonly accepted. We're not delving into controversy just for the sake of ruffling feathers. We only ruffle feathers when, they need to be ruffled. Like maybe these feathers from some particular bird was like holding, hiding like, things
Like
in
a
their
peacock?
Yeah, like maybe there was. Imagine this: we got a feathery bird, been pickpocketing, stealing things from people, hiding them in the feathers. Well, that's a good time to shake them down, ruffle them up, and see what kind of jingles be jangling.
Let me see your true colors.
Maybe they weren't stealing, but maybe they were just hiding truths within their feathers. Now it's time to ruffle them up and get to the bottom of what is really real.
We're shaking them down out here. Let's go.
Sex and gender.
Okay.
Okay. Now you said that. I'll just put you on the spot. All right. I'll just go ahead and warm it up and say that in my last podcast episode all by myself, I was talking about the Olympics and how it's been a big like hubbub about, there was a boxer that people think used to be a man. And it was mostly debunked, I guess, but really there's not a lot of reliable information about this person's past. Anyway, there's a bunch of conservatives who were saying this so-called lady used to be a man and then she beat this other chick. And it wasn't fair because she used to be a man, and I don't really think this person was ever a man. However, watch the camera because
Got you. Frisky toes.
If there was a man that decided to be a woman and then they wanted to fight women for sports and win the medals for the women's competitions, I don't think that would be fair. And so, that was one of the things I was talking about in a podcast. And I also noticed, just from watching the Olympics myself, just little bits of it that I saw, there was a woman on the women's track running team, and the narrator introduced this woman. I forgot her name, but it was like as non-binary and trans. And I don't even know. I still don't understand how that can be possible if you can be non-binary and trans at the same time. Because if you're non-binary, that means you don't believe in the gender binary. So what are you transitioning from and to? To me, it's kind of like a paradox. But it's been, talked about, and some people were riled up because, some of the narrators got their pronouns wrong. Calling them a she when they're actually they or he or so it's just been like this hot topic of trans activism, trying to be visible, Trans Day of Visibility. Look at me, see me, trans. Hats off. I want to send love to anybody regardless. This is Awaken to Love. We send love. We're not here to judge anyone. I might have my own perspective, and I think it's really easy to like poke fun at this whole culture of like dissolving the binary of genders. I think that there's fun to be poked at. That doesn't mean that I'm doing so hatefully. So I'll clarify that.
It's like gender is binary, and so like it absolutely is. That's just
you can be born with both parts too, though. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I need to be enlightened on that. Like there's people who have, but that means you have a vagina and a dick.
Something like that. I don't really know. I haven't inspected them.
I need to have
there's
like
tits and dicks.
I need to have like some like imagery proof of a being that naturally had both a vagina and a penis.
And you want to know that it wasn't photoshopped or AI generated?
I mean, like, what do you, in your knowledge base, does that exist? Both parts at once?
No,
I've never
They're
heard.
hermaphrodites.
not in my. Well,
But you don't have a pussy too. You just have a dick and then the tits. There's no pussy, full vagina and a dick. That's not a hermaphrodite, right?
I don't study this stuff, but I do want to point out something about the
Please.
like the Olympics and the track runners and like switching gender. So, as I said, my ex is male to female, and we would play fight, right? So when she was a he would win. However, when she started transitioning, it was great fun for me because then I could start to overpower her because she wasn't used to the less muscle mass or whatever it is. So it does change your body and it does make you like weaker in that sense. So it could conceivably be fair-ish for like sports. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a scientist, but I do know that before I could not win and now I have a fighting chance. Okay. So there is that.
So tell us about your ex that decided to transition.
Uh-huh.
They started taking.
Yeah, they started taking the pills. They got them online without visiting like an actual doctor. So
pills that were like changing their hormones.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, there's like 2 different kind of pills that they're taking. And yeah, so it did change the way that like she perceived emotions. She felt like way more emotional. She also said that she started getting girl orgasms, which I don't know if you've heard, but like males are supposed to be like, you know, you have like one basic orgasm, kind of like centered around your but like they say that women have like full body orgasms. We can feel it all the way through our body. And she said that when she started to transition, she could actually start to feel like more. So I think it does shift you more than you may think. Yeah, it doesn't really like change your bone structure, but it does change your muscles.
So like, what's happening with the pills? Like, is it just like a lot more estrogen, and then that just does its thing? Is that all it is? So like with a lot more estrogen, you have more of a full body orgasm. Is that sort of the synopsis?
I guess. I mean, she's the one that studied it. You know, I was just kind of like, okay, like you do you. I'm not attracted to women, so I'm not gonna really be down for that. But like, you still do you, and I was like, you know, supportive, and we stayed roommates for a while and everything. Yeah, we're still really good friends. I'm not gonna say her name because I don't know if she wants me to do that, but I love you. So, yeah.
I just want to make it clear from earlier that it's like gender's a binary term. That doesn't mean like I'm against like somebody having like, you know, something that's in between the 1 and the 0. You know what I'm saying? But like if we want to be with like the definition of gender's either male or female. It doesn't mean there's something like necessarily inherently wrong with like being a something else in the gray area, but like the definition of gender does not go outside of either male or female. That's just facts.
You heard it from the man with the mushroom top.
So with all this, like, you know, we're they or them or all these different pronouns, that's not, I wouldn't say that's a gender argument. That's something else. We got to have another name for that. Like that's identity or whatever. That's something beyond gender. You know what I'm saying? That's not have to do with gender.
Yeah, well, I take issue with the word they because they is like a plural term. And even before like all this became such a topic, I probably would have used the word they if I was just unsure of someone's gender. But to go and start identifying as they, I think is simply causing more confusion in the language itself, just linguistically. So, because now we're talking about my friend, and then they did this and they did that. Like, without it makes it sound like you're talking about multiple people now.
So
it does get confusing.
I think that's very interesting because before I knew any actual trans people, I did know a lot of people that were non-binary. And the way that they see it is that it is true that we all have masculine and feminine, like, within us, right? Like, it's just a thing. I don't know if you feel that personally, but I do.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
And
sure.
and so they feel as though like they are more of a balance. Like they don't feel like, oh, I'm super girly, like I'm just a girl, or like yeah, I'm super manly. Like they feel like they have a balance, and so they want to represent that. I also knew someone that felt very connected to their masculine and feminine in such a way that they felt like they would kind of communicate within them. Like they had their masculine side and they had their feminine side, and they would actually like speak to each other within themselves. Now, I don't know if you would count that as like multiple personalities or something.
It's got nothing to do with gender, though.
But yeah, but that's.
It has absolutely
I'm
nothing
just
to do with
explaining the they.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, your balance of feminine and masculine energies has absolutely nothing to do with your gender. Your gender is you're born with a dick or a pussy, like that. I mean, it's just your parts. It's your mechanical parts that you have, and you could change those parts, but gender has nothing to do with how balanced your divine and masculine and feminine are. Nothing at all.
I wasn't saying that it did. I was just explaining they.
But I'm not saying that, I'm not coming at you. I'm at that explanation of like that someone's gender would have to do with the energies that they feel within themselves. Like gender has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
That's all.
All right.
Do you agree?
Sure.
Okay.
I wasn't on that topic. I was on a completely different topic.
Well, I just want to go and address.
I'm confused. It's confusing. Go ahead.
I will address the audience now and say that we welcome all input and feedback from anyone listening. If you can set us straight on the facts of this, if there's anything that we're missing here, please let us know.
Right.
In the comments or even with messages, whatever. As far as YouTube, I think only comments are the way. But
we're all learning.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
I think I will share a bit more about her story. So,
yeah.
She's very interesting, and I will refer to her as a she because I find it respectful, and that is what she's becoming, and that's how she feels that she is. So, she said that since she was a little kid, she always felt like a girl. Like, she wanted to, like, dress up and be cute. She liked wearing dresses. She liked when her mom would put makeup on her. And she just resonated with females and female energy so much more. And the interesting thing about her story is that she said that her parents never picked out a female name for if she were to come out as a female. They only picked out a male name. And her father said that he refused to ever have a girl. So, and she thinks that she's like quite tapped in spiritually. And so she says that because of her dad's aversion to having a female and the fact that they didn't even have it as a possibility within the parents' mindset, that she had to come out as a boy. However, she never felt like a boy. So that's intriguing. I have another friend that his perspective is that when he was growing up, he had a time in which he felt maybe he would want to transition. Maybe he did feel a bit more like a girl. But then he realized that he wanted to instead just connect with his feminine side and balance that within himself. And when he did that, he no longer felt the need to like think about transitioning or anything. He started to feel more comfortable within his male body and just expressing himself as feminine and masculine. And so now he'll dance really beautiful and flowy, and he'll be cute, and he does whatever, like, he's just himself, but he does identify as a man. So, I don't know. There's a lot of different perspectives on the matter, you know?
I appreciate your voice on that.
Yeah. You can identify as whatever you want. I could be this cup right now if I wanted to. I could be that plate over there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like
now you sound like the people that say they're an attack helicopter just to make fun of them.
I don't understand that. Attack helicopter.
Yeah, when...
Wait, that exists?
Oh, yeah. Well, at least in the meme world, because I was a gamer for a while, and when people started identifying as different things, then there were a lot of trolls out there who'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're a girl, well then I'm an attack helicopter. That's me. That's what I identify as, because you can identify as whatever you want now, I guess. Oh, so I don't know. That's kind of the joke.
Okay. But I mean, in the end of the day, like we're talking spirituality on this podcast, we are whatever we identify with. Like you say, I am that I am. You know what I mean? Like that's the Godhead. That's the stepping outside of Parker Webb and identifying with consciousness. And there's consciousness in everything, you know? So like, you know, there's this one video game that really help wake you up. It's something like Everything or whatever. And you just, your consciousness and you swap into, you can be a rock, you can be a tree, you can be that animal over there, this person or the galaxy or the nebula. And it's like, that's really what we are, is we're consciousness localized. And then like we can go into whatever. It's like, I might identify as Parker Webb, and that's where like my consciousness is coming from right now. But really we are everything. So like, I don't have a problem with identifying as something else or, you know, whatever else it is. It's like, but you're not changing your gender, like you're changing your identity. I think those should be separated for so we don't get too confused.
Have you heard the Dave Chappelle special where he talks about these things?
I don't.
There's
Is it a
been
new
couple.
one?
There's been a couple. Well, there's one where he's like, you know, it's totally fair for you to identify as whatever you want, but like, to what extent do I have to play along, or something like that?
Right. Because it gets confusing. I mean, like, you know, there's the LGBTQT, maybe there's a S now, you know,
LGBTQ plus.
Actually,
Okay.
the last instance that I saw when I was reading about this lady in the Olympics was now the 2S is actually before the L. Now it's the 2S LGBTQIA plus.
Oh yeah, there is an IA in there now.
So you have a lot to keep up with, because soon it'll be every letter of the alphabet, right? It only expands. So you have a lot to keep up with.
Some people call it the alphabet mafia.
Right,
I'm
with
the
the
plus.
with the alternative, you know, alphabet. And then like what else is there? Like let's
You're
break
the
it
plus.
down. So we have you identify with male, you identify with female, you identify with they. I think you can identify with it. What are all the different popular known identifications now? Like, do we know who has that?
I say I'm the plus because I do go to some like gatherings, and I am straight. However, does A stand for ally? If so, I think.
Asexual.
Oh, dicks. Okay.
I is intersex.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't
I'm
know
the
what that
plus
means.
because I'm a fairy, and that's what I say when
There
I
you
go to the
go.
gatherings.
There you go.
But asexual has nothing to do with like.
Well, that's a great point, and people have made this point. How is asexual lumped in with people who are sexual in the first place? Why are they part of?
It's just for anyone that feels ostracized, you know, or different. That's why they keep adding those letters,
Well,
so that they can
even-
feel included in some.
Right. Even with the pride flag itself, I'm pretty sure the black and the brown stripes represent like black and indigenous people. So how are they lumped in with people who have different sexual identities? I could be wrong about that.
What's race have to do with?
Exactly.
I don't know, man. It's getting
The whole
too,
thing is ridiculous.
It's well, here's one way I look at it in like a real spiritual standpoint. This is something I wanted to touch on that I heard before and it resonated, is that the universe is expanding. Also, side note, the earth is expanding as well. Like we're literally in this space of expansion, and through the universe expanding, consciousness expanding, the manifestations that materialize are going to expand as well in the spectrum. Okay, the spectrum is going to continue to get wider and wider and wider, because the universe sort of wants to like play all of these different roles in order for us to like have this like wider, grander, all-inclusive experience, you know. And so it's like it's only going to continue to get more and more. Like there will continue to be more letters added onto the LGP2 plus AIs, and then the genders will be more and more and more. And it's just like the universe wants to experience all these different things as it expands to give us a more full experience, so that when we return to source, which is like this singularity, that's the absolute antithesis of this wide spectrum, that we have this like full experience to bring back into it. And so I think things are going to get way weirder. I think it won't be weird for someone to identify as a dragon or as a cyborg or as an alien, and that should be totally accepted. And for like, you know, the aliens, for them to have a letter in the thing and a color on the flag, and for the AIs and the cyborgs to have, you know, more, you know, acceptance, and like, okay, that's you're now an AI because you took the Neuralink. Okay, we got a thing for you, like you're in this category. Like, it'll continue to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and we'll continue to expand more and more and more, and to the point where like it's just all higgledy-piggledy. We lost any sense of being able to classify or understand, and everything's just a crazy shit show, like an RPG. Like, if you choose your avatar on Fortnite or whatever, like you can be Eminem or the guy with the mushroom hat or the dude, you know, like you can be whatever.
But do we need to label things? Is it even necessary at all? Like, I think the whole point is just acceptance.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes labels are helpful, you know, like because you can then you can know like which country of origin your produce was from, in case you want to know if it's Peru or Brazil or USA. Sometimes, I mean,
Some labels help.
I like in one of my previous relationships, I was like very adamant about like establishing like a label around our relationship because I didn't want to have the vague, undefined, like, what are we, you know, like some people shy away from like labeling what the relationship is.
Like, you mean in terms of monogamous or
Yeah. And just like, are we in a relationship?
Mm.
Are we boyfriend, girlfriend? Like, I was like pushing for like, no, let's make it clear. Let's make it very clear between us, like what are the terms of our interaction.
So you know your boundaries.
Yeah. And in the last relationship I was in, I mean, I tried to bring that same notion, but you know, she just kind of like perpetually kind of like dissolved the terms and the labeling, and so that was very difficult for me and very challenging. Case in point, that's why now I won't have sex again until I get married, because I don't want to get hurt.
But what if you found somebody that you have trust built and established with, that just wants to be in a monogamous relationship without the actual marriage?
Well, we would, I mean,
Because how would marriage keep you from getting hurt?
it's like, if it, like, is a rose by any other name any less beautiful? I don't know. It's like, if everything that we decide basically would still be defined as marriage, like I said, to me it doesn't have to involve the government. However, I think that if we decide that we're going to be in lifelong union, then I think that bond is strong enough that there would be no risk in actually making it legally binding.
Got you.
You know, but the spiritual union has to come first.
Hey, there we go. I like that. Yeah, so, you know, I was always going to say, like, if I was going to come something close to marriage, it'd be like the wedding would almost look like some sort of like spiritual communion, you know, like we're uniting in this way, and it doesn't have to involve a piece of paper, but it's like, let's have a ceremony to celebrate this union of us coming together. And then, you know, people do their vows, right? That's your word. This always comes back to the trust in the word of like, okay, this is our intentions of what we want to do, you know, till death do your part, through the sickness or whatever. Like, we intend to, and we vow to, and we promise to this to each other. And so really, it really is just your word and the trust within that word with that other being. And hopefully you're at the point where you can truly feel the authenticity of that. And I think really what it comes down to is just that each individual truly intends that through unconditional love. And yeah, if you want to slap the marriage paper on it too, then so be it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I fully agree that that's the prerequisite, is to have that bond spiritually.
Boom.
I love that sound.
Right, never gets old. Oh, that's the intro to that one Eminem song.
Hit us
The
with
way
that
she shake it.
I don't know if I heard that one.
Ass like that.
Ass like that. Yeah.
Let's see what's going on in this department over here.
Oh, snap. Great discussion, by the way. Should we do a rap about what we just talked about?
Have fun.
I ain't really even sure what I'm doing. Life nowadays is getting more confusing. Pretty sure it's gonna get even more weird. Maybe everyone will have a beard. Or maybe really they won't. I don't really know. Sometimes I really get lost in the imagination zone. Oh, and I just wanna get grounded, bro. But I think sometimes you gotta let go, cause this is a crazy dream, yeah, you already know. And sometimes it's hard to see that we're living in this collective RPG. It's a role-playing game, play whatever role that you want, but you're still playing the game. And so I'm rolling it up, but I ain't smoking it up, because I'm knowing what's up. And so this spot, yo, I'm blowing it up, yup. Cause I think sometimes you gotta go ahead and break down the paradigm, so you don't really have no walls. Sometimes you just gotta go and let them dissolve. And when Flint Blade comes through with a crazy, amazing beat, then you just gotta go do what you was programmed to do, even if you're not an AI. Sometimes you just sit back and just create rhymes. Well, I'm the Fungi Flows, that's what I've chosen. So I gotta keep on going, we never frozen. Going outside of this time and space. He said time travel is what I need to embrace. I'm like, yo, maybe that'll show me I'm a computer. Maybe I would just go back to the future. You know I'm here sparking these rhymes, and maybe I can identify with Marty McFly. Yo, it don't matter though. I'm in my cruiser maneuvering through this reality that's collapsing. At the same time, I'm the man exploring in the Mandalorian. I keep on going, I'm exploring this flow now, it's enormous for show. Oh, it was like your cap's gorgeous, bro. They said nothing rhymes with orange, yo. Let's make it just a little abstract. I come back, I bust a rap on top of that. When I come and rap this bar, take your old school bars to Jurassic Park. It doesn't matter what time you in, I gotta keep the whole vibe get lit. We inside of this moment, and you know that it's infinite. I hope you really feel that if you're listening. Genders moving, everything grooving, everything's expanding. And what you doing? Maybe we are losing sense of who we are, or maybe we are gaining sense of who we are. Maybe we need to lose ourselves to find ourselves. I don't really know. Hey, maybe sometimes if we hold on and way too attached, then we just gotta let go. Hey, I ain't really throwing shade on anybody. I'm just saying that we gotta have some definitions. Otherwise, everything just goes kaboom. Or maybe that's what needs to happen, my boo. I don't know what's really necessary for us to grow up. This is legendary. Never been a pet in the cemetery, but we gotta make sure that we never buried, and we could get married to each other with no documents. It's obvious. It's all about the trust. It's all about the bond. And my brother, that's the word of God.
Dang. There's a word that I'm looking for right now. Mars, stars, cars, SARS. Oh, bars, my man.
We got bars. We got bars.
Ain't talking about Xanax.
Bars.
Ain't talking about
Bars.
alcoholic establishments.
Bars.
Nope. Ain't talking about chocolate in a package. Talking about some bars, my man.
Thank you, my brother.
Fungi Flows.
Flint Blade,
Always
you bring it out of
spitting
me.
it. Spitting it, spitting it, spitting it. Wow.
That reminds me of that one conversation you had at the beginning of this trip with that random chick on the phone, and you're like, I can give you bars, and she's like, Xanax? It's like, no.
It's like, I'm single and I want to mingle. I said, hey, slow down now.
By the way, if you want your ears to be seen, you're totally cool to save your headphones for other times. Yeah. Oh, they just fluffed out when
Perky.
I can fly away.
Yeah. Be yourself.
Okay.
Be your fairy face self.
Yeah, I'm the plus, baby.
That's right. Sometimes you're the plus one.
That's true.
I think I count as part of the band now.
Sometimes you're a little extra. Right? Yeah, you are part of the band.
She is.
If you're the dancer, you're part of the band, basically.
Sometimes she even DJs.
What?
I
You
mean, pressing pause and play. This is like,
well, that's
DJ.
That's how they do
what we
it.
do,
That's
yeah.
how these DJs do what they do. It's very elaborate and technical
DJ
ways
Faye.
of pressing play and pause.
Yeah.
I should know. Sometimes I DJ.
Hey.
I actually I like to put it that way.
Mhm.
Sometimes I press play on tracks.
Mm.
I don't know. Look, there's so much you could say. I have a lot of DJ friends, and I still like to make fun of DJs. And I think since I am a DJ sometimes, I'm allowed to make fun of them.
Hey. Well, sometimes it's funny when they pretend to move dials just to make it look like they're doing more when really they just pressed play.
Sometimes they're,
Sometimes they are doing stuff.
Sometimes they're doing stuff, and sometimes I'm like, how can you possibly be moving your fingers so much with so much concentration when literally nothing is happening? We're just hearing the track.
I feel that.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes...
There's some pretenders.
Well, there's some pretenders. And then, you know, it's great when people take their craft seriously. I'll respect it as a craft. I think it's funny also when, like, there's people who will, like, have this weird epiphany when they realize that a DJ is, like, not doing as much as they originally thought they were doing. Like, somebody who used to think that every sound or every, like, part was being, like, you know, launched on the spot or created on the spot, and then they realized, like, they see the DJ walk away or something, or join the crowd and, like, start dancing or just, like, goof off, and they're like, or just, like, Polish Ambassador is, like, notorious for, like, throwing his hands in the air all the time and, like, hyping up the crowd. I love the Polish Ambassador's music. Mm-hmm. I've had some great dance experiences to his sets. But I have a friend who was like, you know, all he did was, like, jump around and throw his hands in the air. I'm like, well,
yeah.
No, there's no, like, it's not like he wasn't pretending to do anything else.
Yeah, he's in charge of how you feel. And if y'all are turning up by him putting his hands up or whatever he's doing, he's the master of that ceremony, you know. Mostly he's just running his tracks, but, like, you know, his energy and how into it he is what's going, y'all gonna feel that as well. So he's holding the space.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's like, if the music moves me and I love it, I'm having a great experience, then, like, yeah, this is great. This is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. So...
But shout out to you. You know, we'll take a second to, like, acknowledge that you're doing something, a lot of things, and you are making this music and pushing these buttons. And yeah, they might have a pre-programmed sound, but, like, a lot of people don't know it ain't easy to make beats all line up on an MPC, loop them, be playing the keyboard, and have understanding of how all this technology works, put it all together, plus using live instruments to create this actual sound that you're improvising in the moment and actually giving something that is actually created by you rather than pre-recorded. So shout out to the improvisers, the freestylers. You're one of them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And in this case, you know, each little drum sound is pre-programmed. But the loops themselves and the rhythms are not pre-programmed. I'm playing with my fingers. Cool. So go me. Look at me go.
Yes.
We need a Loopers Day of Visibility holiday.
I fuck with that.
Well, that's another thing. Like, I start to think that live looping is so well known and so common that everybody knows what it is already. And then I come to realize that there's still people in the world who just doesn't even know what I'm talking about when I say live looping. Like, they'll be like some people see what I'm doing and they just think it's backing tracks that are preloaded. They don't even know that, in fact, you can play the beat on the fly and loop it lively. So, in that sense, I try not to get too focused in identifying in, like, any particular aspect of the craft of what I do. Like, even the Chapman stick. When I first started playing that, like, it was all about that for me. Like, I'm a Chapman stick player. I'm a tapping player. And what does it even matter? You know, why does it matter that I'm playing an instrument that's rare? That part is interesting. You know, it still is to me, and it's interesting to people who see it for the first time. But I'm all about moving past that and just making music that can speak for itself, even without anyone knowing the technical details of how it's made.
Like that.
Yeah.
And it really does, you know, I mean, it helps you to stand apart. And when I think about you, I do associate you with this instrument, and I believe you also had some other very interesting instrument with you in the past. And like, you know, you are doing all this other stuff, but like, I think it's really cool that you're also rocking with something that like nobody else is boogieing down with, you know. So it's cool to set apart like that. Like, I have the mushroom hat that makes me, you know,
I
unique
think
and
of his
stand out.
comedy freestyle.
That too. That's, yeah, that too.
So funny.
Yeah, well, some of it's funny, but it's cool because making it funny is not your primary focus, right?
For me?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like my primary focus is like making multi-syllabic rhymes that sound really freaking dope. Like, I would like to do more comedy. You bring a very fresh air of like, you know, we're not going to take this so seriously. Let's like almost merge like a stand-up routine with rap. Like, it's funny. Like, you do a good job at
Well,
it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been dabbling with the stand-up aspect a little more, and it can be a little hard to bring that in when I'm playing solo without anybody else. It comes out a lot more when I am collaborating with other people. And part of that, I think, is because I know that there's a function of lightening the mood. Like, I can help the other collaborators feel more comfortable if I establish that it's not so serious and, like, you know, whatever, we're just having fun. But when I'm just performing solo for a crowd, it's like, it's definitely like, it helps myself to make it funny, but it's hard to break that ice for myself. And yeah, I've done a little bit of like actual like stand up in certain scenarios where I've actually just came up and like really got into just the comedy and just the talking.
I admire that.
And I love it. I love it a lot. Yeah, it feels very fulfilling to me, and it's something that I just, you know, I love to get into.
I love that. I mean, I feel like if I was to see Fungi's like greatest act, say I sold out the Improv, there would be a mix of sort of stand up and freestyle. And there's this one, I believe he's British, this one guy on YouTube, but he's basically doing that. He's like, you know, pulling people out of the audience and cutting up on them like you know, any skilled comedian would. And then like at some point, somehow he pulls topics out of them, and next thing you know, he's freestyling. But it started off for quite some time as just a stand-up comedy act. So I think like that's something that I haven't fully integrated, but I think like in Fungi's final form would have mastered the art of stand-up mixed with improvisational freestyle. And I think that that's a really special show.
You get into Reggie Watts? Is that who you're talking about?
I'm not referring to Reggie Watts in this moment, but he's dope.
He's awesome, right?
Yeah.
He's one of my very favorites.
I'm going to look more into him.
One of my favorite artists. I've seen like almost everything that he's put out on the internet.
Word.
In the last few years, he joined the Late Late Show as like the band leader.
Oh yeah, I think I did see the clip of that.
And I had to like, I couldn't get into that because it just wasn't enough of him for me.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, he's just part of the show. And I just love his like work when it's just him leading the way.
Word.
So I had to like kind of tune out of that, but now his contract is up and he's not on TV anymore. And so he's back to like just doing his thing. But I am such a fan of Reggie Watts.
I'm gonna look at him more.
To the point where I've had to just keep myself from like imitating him. You know, I didn't want to just like try to be him.
Yeah.
And I actually have a friend who was doing that like too much. This friend that I don't really see that much anymore, but he was like a keyboard comedy like improv guy. And he even like, there was one time when he was doing his act at an open mic. And somebody looked at me while that was happening, and she's like, Reggie Watts. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's doing Reggie Watts. Who cares? And I even told him, and I don't think he liked this. I told this guy, I was like, you do a really good Reggie Watts. I want to see you do Tony Tata. I named him. Tony Tata, if you ever catch this, love you, bro.
Hey.
No, but Tony didn't like receive that very well, and I think that was part of like one of like the thorns in his side that kind of like made me push him. I pushed him away inadvertently, I didn't mean to do that. Like, I wanted to keep working with this guy, but he decided that Flint is just like thinks he knows everything, that he's the best or something, and like, I'm like, okay, I guess there's just not enough room for both of our egos in this room.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Yeah. Nah, it is what it is. It's all good. But yeah, I love to see people move past their influences and find more of their authentic self.
Yes.
That's something I encourage in people.
100%. Soul expression.
So, how about politics?
Okay.
Any thoughts on the current election?
RFK.
Hey.
RFK.
RFK.
All right, well, so now I think he's the coolest candidate that's currently out. I'll go with that. I have one of my friends I think he's just one of these like anti-voters, who like chimed in on like my RFK like post or whatever it was, and he's like, oh well, he's either a scumbag or a psyop because he didn't support the ceasefire with Israel and Palestine. I know two people who singled that out as like their critique for RFK. It's like, that's the bottom line. We need a ceasefire between Israel and Palestine, and RFK was quoted as saying that he did not support the ceasefire.
That's interesting. What did he support then? Like for the conflict to continue?
The quote itself is already dated. It's it might be months old at this point, but in the quote, assuming that the quote was true, it was just a written interview, so they might have misquoted him, but assuming that it was a true quote, he said that Israel is a moral nation and that they were justified in like defending themselves against Hamas. And he also said that any other country would have completely leveled Gaza. And so the friend who was like, linking this article where he said that, it was like, they have completely leveled Gaza. So, I would love it. I mean, RFK does so many interviews and podcasts. I would love it if one of these interviewers, kind of like put him on the spot for that. I want to hear him with his voice actually talking about it.
Right. Rather than some quote that you may have taken out of context.
I want to hear him talk about it. So it would be great if like, if he was like pressed about that more. But like, I don't really know the truth of Israel and Palestine. I'm definitely not an expert about it. It seems, the word on the street is that there's excessive force and that it's about more than just what happened on October 7th, and at this point,
I feel you entirely. I'm very much uninformed, and a lot of people would vehemently attack just the fact that you're not very well informed. Like, it's a very charged subject, and I think the collective belief, or at least the one that's predominant, is that you need to educate yourself on this and be up to date and take a side. But with RFK, I don't really believe that he would have any chance at the presidency. So I don't necessarily support like anybody for the presidency. My personal belief is that they're pre-selected, so our vote doesn't matter. Like, that's truly what I believe. But if I was going to support one, absolutely be RFK. I think the last legitimate president was JFK. And I won't want to say fully down with RFK because I don't know him like that, but the two lengthy podcasts that I listened to and following his Instagram and just vibing him out, I'm down with the man. I think he's legitimate, and your homie talking about him being a psyop or whatever else, like that mode of thinking for most people would apply, but I don't think it applies to RFK.
Yeah. Well, just from listening to him talk, it always comes across like he actually means what he says, and he is doing it like in a heartfelt way. It always seems like he's a man of integrity, like who is actually like in the fight for like a good reason.
He's doing his best to understand the truth.
Yeah. And it seems like he earnestly wants to, improve the situation.
I feel that.
And like bring down the corporations, or like make them, bring at least like dissolve like the power that the corporations have over society. Hold them to higher account. And so usually when I listen to him talk, I'm like, this is the guy who actually is like out here with some integrity.
Yeah, I feel that. But it's gonna be Kamala or Trump. That's just facts. And I think it's gonna be interesting either way. If I was gonna predict just based upon like where I feel like things are going, I would say Kamala is gonna be the next president. But to me, they're just faces.
But there's a prophecy.
Yeah,
prophecy.
Share the
There's
prophecy.
a
I love
prophecy
prophecies.
that
Share it.
Donald Trump's daughter's gonna be the first woman president and the last president.
Who made that?
Yeah, let's hear that.
I don't know where the roots are because I'm not
That's new.
that into this, but I know there is a conspiracy about that, and I know that it stems from Trump being a time traveler.
Yo, wouldn't this be crazy? So Biden dropped out so Kamala could replace, right? What if Trump dropped out and it's his daughter you're talking about? What if his daughter
Ivanka.
came in and it was Kamala versus Trump's daughter? That would be crazy. You have to choose a woman, Democrat or Republican.
Yeah, I wish I knew. I could text my friend right now, be like, I need the sources.
Yeah.
I'm on a podcast. I need these sources right now.
Juicy.
You can still choose one of the independent candidates. You don't have to choose between Democrat and Republican.
When was the last time an
Yeah,
independent won?
The Electoral College, though, they don't give a fuck what you say.
When was the last time? Does an independent ever won?
But if the actual poll numbers and like the actual votes, the Electoral College is supposed to
They're supposed to.
vote along with what the people are.
Yeah, they're
I've
supposed
never
to.
seen it not be red or blue for a state.
Right. I'm just saying that the common trope is that you have to vote for either one of the biggest ones because otherwise you're throwing your vote away.
Yeah.
And that's why it keeps people voting that way.
Yeah.
So as soon as more people were to change their mind, even if the Electoral College decided they weren't going to vote along with the people's votes, well, at least that would be something to look at and be like, hey, you guys are supposed to vote the way that we said you're going to vote for.
Yeah.
Because look at all these numbers.
Yeah.
Well, then we can think back to Bernie Sanders and
Let's
how
think back.
everyone was all about Bernie Sanders.
They sure was.
And then what happened to him? He got like
Shafted.
threatened out of the race, pretty much. Like
You will die if you don't drop out.
they generally like were like, no, people like you too much, and you need to fucking drop out so that Trump can be in here, because that's who they wanted. So I mean, does the people's vote matter at all? I don't think so.
You ever check out the Theo Vaughn podcast?
Nope.
Theo Vaughn, he's a great comedian. He recently just had Bernie Sanders as a guest, and then the next episode was Trump.
What?
Yeah, he just had Trump as his guest.
He must be a big boy to have them two.
Theo Vaughn is such a great. I love his podcast. His whole like persona on the podcast is just like really, really groovy. And as soon as I saw that Bernie was his guest, I was traveling with my parents at the time, and I was like, hey, let's listen to this. You're gonna hear one of these podcasters that I listen to all the time. He's with Bernie now, having a conversation, and my parents were like, yeah, all right, we're gonna listen to Bernie talk.
I thought Bernie was cool.
And then totally. And then the next episode, Trump. I was like, what? You got Trump on your podcast? Holy
How
shit.
have I not heard at Theo Vaughn if he pulled Bernie and Trump?
He's one of the very top podcasters.
That's like beyond Rogan status.
Well, Rogan has said on this podcast that he didn't want to have Trump on.
That's interesting. Like, why not sit down and have a conversation with that man? Like, I mean, whether hate him or love him.
Yeah, he said Rogan said that he doesn't want to give Trump any more clout than he already has.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great reason.
He's not into Trump.
I mean, I know a lot of Rogan fans are into Trump. I just think, man, to have the opportunity to sit down with that character, because at the end of the day, we're playing an RPG and we're all characters, and it's like, that's an interesting character. That's like a very unique, I mean, came from the WWF, like had his own TV show, and then became president of the United States. Like, that's just a wild character. I can understand not wanting to give him more of a platform, but just like, I would...
World Wrestling Federation?
I'm pretty sure he was associated with the WWF.
Really?
Before. Yeah, like with Vince McMahon, and like he would come out and like say stuff. He wasn't a wrestler, but he would, you know, make announcements and like was associated. I could be totally wrong. Let's fact check. But, yeah.
Well, the interview was kind of interesting. It was like Trump was definitely not on his guard, and he was just kind of like being... You could tell that he's aged. You know, his hair was looking pretty white in this podcast episode.
His hair's real? It's not a toupee?
Oh,
shit.
It was looking pretty white. Maybe he got a white toupee because he wants to look more aged. I don't know.
There you go.
But yeah, he was definitely being kind of like grandpa style in his words and everything. And he kind of was just like, just acting like an old guy. And he was telling stories of his past, you know, of his like family members. What? Time traveling.
He was pulling a sleepy Joe Biden.
Kind of. Yeah, he was just like, he was being very, very friendly and pretty mellow. Like, he wasn't really saying anything, you know.
Not grabbing anyone by any pussies.
Wow. Someone had to say it.
I'm saying, well, that's the thing is like, people have held that quote against him for so long, and like, I think that's appalling. Of course, to say that is just so like, I'm never gonna say that, let alone on camera. Like, that's just crude, it's crass, and it's like, it's just yeah, that's not a good thing to say.
Right.
You know, it's not a good thing to say.
I love where this is going.
But at the same time, like, okay, like, you know, if he claimed that he said that in the context and in like the quality of the video is so low, it definitely wasn't like production quality. Like, it wasn't something that was meant to be like aired on the show that he was on. It was like very like behind the scenes, but still there was a camera on him when he said that. Or I think he said it inside the bus. You can hear the audio, and then they came out of the bus, right? I remember it vaguely, but like, then everybody just used that as like the anti-Trump thing. Like, he said that. Can you believe he said that? A president should never say that. Agreed. President should not be saying that.
I just do think it is funny is like, you know, before Kamala came in the race, it's like, why on earth ever would like the two choices of the people to run the country be fucking Sleepy and Trump? Like that, I mean, you know, like you could just see like how ridiculous this TV show is. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's a TV show. Like, those debates, they get ratings. Like, you know, it's its own like news station basically. Like, it's a soap opera, you know. Like, they drop people out of the race and make these changes and put people up against each other and pre-select. Like, it's all this elaborate TV show, and it's like they do things to make sure that the ratings stay up. And it's like, because if it was really up to us, would we ever have our two choices, these two old ass incapable men? Hell no, we're not that far behind. That's who they gave us. And whoever wins has already been pre-selected, and we have an illusion that we're choosing between these two lame-ass choices in the first place.
We got illusion that we're choosing.
I
Swear we barring out here. Can't stop.
We
That's
got
me.
these illusions and the people are choosing, but really we're just losing. We're all being used, and that's bullshit.
We don't know what we do. Confused. Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
So that's me.
Well, oh yeah. So the part that came like that was interesting, like in this interview with Theo. First, they're just talking about like, oh, here's a story with my brother, you know, and like Theo's just being very like polite and like, yeah, like, go on, you know. So, and what year was that, and what was this brother, and blah blah blah. And oh, and you know what? You know what Trump said? Trump says he's never drank alcohol.
That's the story.
He says he's never smoked and he's never drank.
It's like Kim Jong-un not having a butthole.
Is that a thing?
I thought that was a thing.
Yeah.
That was at least in the interview comedy movie, was that the whole country was saying that he's a god and he doesn't poop.
Okay. Well, so Trump said that he had an older brother who had an alcohol problem, and his older brother told him, you should never get into this stuff. Never, don't drink, don't do drugs, don't smoke. You know, and his brother was an example of someone who like ruined their life with alcohol, and so Trump, you know, saw that, and he's like, and I said, I never drank, I never smoked. I'm like, okay.
Do you believe that?
I'm like, well, now
Give
it's
you more grace if you did.
now it's would be what?
I don't know if like he'd be more acceptable if he did, because that means he's a sober guy doing all this crazy shit. That's like kind of worse.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's time for people to like dig through the archives and prove him wrong. And like, can we find him with a glass of champagne in his hand somewhere anywhere? Come on.
That's
How is it
non-alcoholic.
Right. Yeah. That I was very surprised when he said that. And
That
then
was just grape juice.
and eventually, Theo went and he was like, so I recently had Bernie Sanders on the podcast, and Trump didn't realize that. He's like, well, that's very, very interesting. That's interesting. Like, as if, like, you know, just to express his disdain for Sanders. And then Theo all of a sudden, like, got, like, very, like, informed. He, like, divulged, like, you know, things that he's been following him with, like, Bernie talking about healthcare and stuff like that. And you could tell all of a sudden Trump is like, oh, Theo knows stuff. You know, we've been talking about anecdotes all day, and now Theo is like turning like into this knowledgeable person with policies and stuff like that. But it was cool the way that he flexed it, because he brought up an example of a policy that Trump passed, like a bill that Trump passed that Bernie was in support of. So he's like, kind of, rather than coming with like this some kind of like debate thing, he's like, here's something that you guys actually share. You know, that you guys are pretty opposed on many things, but Bernie being like all about healthcare for all, here's something that you did that actually helped people have healthcare, and Bernie was like, you know, in approval of that. So it was kind of cool to like kind of bridge the gap there. But yeah, I don't even know if you need to bother to watch the interview, but yeah, Theo's a great podcaster.
Yeah, I'm gonna peep him for sure.
And if I could ever go see Theo live, man, I sure would love to, because
That's a thing, live.
I mean, he's a stand-up comedian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would love to see him doing stand-up.
Word.
I haven't seen that many stand-up comedians live, but the ones that I have just been such flops that I'm like just really dying to see like a great stand-up comedian show live. I've seen videos of ones that I loved and I laughed a lot, but the ones that I've gone out and bought tickets to see, I'm like, man, like, is it me? Am I the one that's like having such a hard time like actually just laughing at this? Because I think I just had like bad luck so far.
Yeah, I do think maybe we're on the decline, but I'm also not as exposed. Like, I mean, I think Robin Williams, Cat Williams, both the Williams.
Oh, we got lots of great comedians.
Yeah, like,
No,
you know.
we do.
Man, I know he was controversial, but Dane Cook was hilarious.
Dane Cook.
I mean, I know Rogan came out with a recent one.
He's got a new one.
I thought some of the clips were funny.
Even Reggie Watts actually has a new one out that I haven't seen yet. It's only on a network called Veeps. I have never heard of Veeps, and that's what it's on. It's not on Netflix or anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, but Reggie's Netflix special, it's called Spatial.
Oh, I'm sure it's fire.
That shit is genius. Oh, man, it's so good.
That's my guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then, yeah, of course, we got Dave Chappelle. I won't have to throw that back. Yeah, I mean, I love the art. I think it's one of the most difficult to fully nail. And there's only a few, like, totally, like, nailed performances that I can think of in my mind. The ones I named particularly come out. And then
Gabriel Iglesias?
Gabriel is hilarious.
Yeah.
And then you have conscious ones who, like R.I.P. George Carlin, you know, who showed us that, like, you can intertwine, like, education and conscious awareness into your comedy as well. So it's a versatile art, you know, where you can really do a lot with it.
I've always loved George Carlin, but even still with his stuff, now I look back and some of it's like way too like cynical for my taste now. And even just like just like some like just recently my stepdad when we were on the family vacay, my stepdad was like playing some George Carlin clips.
Okay.
In the living room while I'm like making breakfast, and my mom is there too, and like eventually I just had to be like, Stanley, like I don't want to listen to this like with my mom in the room. Like this is just a little too you know, come on, like let's have some modesty. You know, I'm hanging out with my mom right now. I don't want to hear George Carlin talking about everything that he's talking about.
Maybe that cynicism's a stepping stone for your dad in his awakening.
There was that. But then that wasn't even necessary. That was just like him talking about like sexual content that I don't want to like. You know,
oh right,
like,
with the mom.
Like, my mom is in the room right now. Like I was almost like, I can't believe that my stepdad is so unaware that he wouldn't think that this is uncomfortable for me with my mom in the room. So I just had to put a stop to it.
Sure.
But there was other things where, you know, he'll talk about Jesus and talk about the Bible and Christians and like just with such a like hater attitude that it just like for me and how I'm now like really into it, I just had to be like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, thanks for shedding light on like how Christians have been blah blah blah. But who are you to say who Jesus really was? You know, with such authority and such certainty.
That's what gets me is when people really think that they know what's up, you know, like that's why I try to present, you know, my awareness base as like, you know, just different little tidbits. Like, okay, maybe Jesus lived or didn't live. Maybe he's synonymous with a mushroom. Maybe he's synonymous with the sun, like Zeitgeist kind of says. Is like, you know, like nobody really knows. Like, I don't care how many books you read or how many bones you saw in a museum. Like, you ain't gonna tell me that you know 1,000% that Jesus existed as this person that you believe he was. And I don't care how many times you read The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. You can't tell me for sure that Christianity is a mushroom worshiping cult and Jesus was an Amanita muscaria. And I don't care how many times you watch Zeitgeist. You can't tell me that Jesus is the sun in the sky. Like, you know, there's no really knowing, I feel. And like, maybe that's sad or maybe that's just me, but I feel like, how do we really ever know anything when we just like mostly get our information from the internet?
Yeah, right. Well, that reminds me of the Fireflies, Infinite Elements. When you were freestyling, I said something about Jesus, and then you came on the microphone. You're like, Jesus was a mushroom.
Yeah, and
everybody laughed.
Yeah, and that's a point that I took. It's like, and that might have some validity.
It wasn't that you were asserting that is the fact.
Right.
You're just simply referencing
playing
a
with
concept
the idea.
that is currently out there.
Right, playing with that idea. And it's an interesting one, you know. It's like, okay, so I'm wearing this Amanita hat, and it's like, okay, well, these dots right here, that's just a representation of what's actually kind of thorny. on the Amanita. It's spiky. These little white dots on the red cap, spiky. So you got the crown of thorns. Okay, you've got Jesus was born in a manger where you have these animals, and the mushroom grows out of like the cow poop, which would be like potentially found in the manger. You have Jesus being born of a virgin. Well, the way that spores reproduce or mushrooms reproduce is asexually. Like it drops a spore and then it comes back through its life cycle asexually as of what from a virgin. There's no other reproduction necessary like there is in other plants and such. And I can just go on and on about like the whole life cycle of like when the spore is dropped, the cap's at a 90-degree angle, which would be symbolic of the cross, and like that's when the spore drops and it's sort of dead, and then it rises up into this umbrella shape, which would be like the chalice that's filled with the holy blood and the blood of Christ. And when the water comes in and the mushroom catches it, then it colors the water red, and that's like that cup of wine that's sort of symbolized. And like you can just go on and on and on and on about all these different symbolic connections of the Amanita mushrooms growth cycle and just his existence to Jesus. And then I could go on and on and on about the sun too. And then you can go on and on about how the zodiacs connect to Jesus' life, with him in the lion's den during Leo and being a fisherman during Pisces. And like you it's all just like there's a million connections that you can make. And there's not really like one truth of Jesus was just this thing. Jesus was metaphorical. Jesus was probably also a human. Jesus also is this Christ consciousness within you. It's like, let's not just say something is one thing or that we know exactly what this thing is. Let's be open to talk about all the different aspects.
Word.
That was a lot. Sorry if that was,
That's
sometimes I get worked up.
No, you shared some information.
Word.
Yeah. I like to see those strange, metaphors or whatever, that those patterns, between the mushroom and Jesus. Well, I've noticed in Christianity today, there's a lot of Christians who are like speaking out against like the new age culture of spirituality.
Okay.
And one of the things that they're taking issue of Christ consciousness.
Okay.
They're trying to say this whole concept of Christ consciousness is simply there to distract us from actually, having a relationship with Christ. And that it's like somehow like a false, it's just like another like false path.
There's so much hijacking in the new age community that's it's like psyop designed to completely mislead us. At the same time, I think there's a lot of misinformation and, like you said, mistranslations in old religious texts, as well. So I think our whole lives we've been confused. We've been confused if we're tapped into ancient religions, and if we're new age spiritual rebels, then we're confused as well, But yeah, like I do believe one metaphor for Christ is the Christ consciousness of like when we're enlightened, we become an ascended master, then we embody that Christ consciousness, which other beings who have lived have also embodied as well. And Jesus, always said, like, the way is within the heart. Like the way of the heart is the way of the mastery. That love, that light that's within, once we self-realize I met some people at a church of self-realization along my travels, and they pray to all the ascended masters, Jesus, Buddha, and these different beings who they believe are the ascended masters. And it's all about realizing that consciousness within yourself, awakening that and awakening to your own highest potential, So I think anything that fully empowers you, could not, be taken away. I don't really like, think that Jesus wanted like you to like, follow him, or just like he's the way. He's like, he's pointing you back to your own heart and to tap into your true power to follow that guidance.
Word.
But what do I know?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's something. When I looked into Christ consciousness, like I wanted to find the source of like where that concept even came from, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't figure out who first started talking about the concept of Christ consciousness. I just couldn't find where it even came from.
Do you think that idea was incepted by some power with an agenda?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I don't know.
We don't know.
And I don't know about ascended masters either. Like when it comes to people putting like Buddha and different characters or whatever, and like saying that Jesus is just one of them as ascended masters, like that's where I have to draw the line, because I am sticking with the story of Jesus as like the Son of God who sacrificed himself for the good of humanity. And he didn't call himself an ascended master. He ascended into heaven. That's part of the story. But for people to say that he's just like, that he's part of this club of like, enlightened beings and he's just one of them and there's a bunch of them. I'm like, well, I don't know. I think the story of Jesus is unique. And like if he is claiming that he is the Son of God and he is God, then I'm just going to have to side with him on that one.
I guess then my question sort of is like, who or what is God? Are we not the son or daughters of God? Like, I guess that's the real question. That's really what all it comes down to, is who or what is God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I always felt like he was leading by example. Like he was the prime example at the time for people to like he said follow me, because it's like literally like follow in my footsteps. Like I'm showing you the way. I'm showing you how to connect to God within yourself, and it all just got turned around to be like the only way, but he's really just showing you the way to be in your power, the way to embody like that divine child energy. So that's how I feel about that. But the Ascended Masters is interesting as well, because with the Bible it says that after the not the apocalypse, what's the word?
Ascension?
Well, like when they say that he's gonna come and play the trumpet, and then all the Christians are gonna go up.
Rapture?
Yeah.
There.
And after the rapture, they're all gonna become the bride of Christ, right? That's what my dad says, at least. So it's like everyone's gonna be like on that level, like, and Christ is a term. Like, I don't even think that, like, that wasn't his last name. Like, that's a label.
Right. I think the word Christ meant the anointed one.
Yeah. So.
I like that.
It's all deep.
Right.
But.
So maybe that's where we go to next, is like, if Jesus is the quote unquote Son of God, then who's God? What's God?
Well, on that tip, a lot of people these days are saying like, we are all God.
Mm-hmm.
And you even said we're all gods, we're all goddesses. For me, the paradigm that resonates the most for me is that we are humans created by God, not that we are actually God. I am totally satisfied with considering God as something separate from me, something that's outside of me, and that I have a connection with God, that I can talk to God, that I can have a relationship with God. And even like if we are made in the image of God, then I like to think that we are reflections of God. But I will not go so far as to say that I am God. To me, I think that would be almost like just
Blasphemous.
Yeah, just a step towards like megalomania. Like if I am God, then that, you know, I won't go there. I'm not going to say that about myself. And I don't believe that anyone else is God except for Jesus.
How do you feel about humanoid aliens? Were they also created by God?
Yes.
In the image of God?
I don't know. They could be angels or something, but that's funny that you say that because my aunt Nancy that I mentioned earlier.
Nancy, shout out.
What's up, Nancy?
Nancy, she loves to just send me messages randomly that are like kind of out there. And like even though she like is always telling me like read the Bible, you know, we need Jesus and stuff like that. She'll just say some stuff that is just a little out there in other ways. And one of those things that she said, she was like, we are all, God created everything, including aliens from other planets.
Let's go, Nancy.
She just included that in like one of her rambling
Nice.
messages. Like, yep, God created the aliens too. She just had to like acknowledge that there are aliens created by God. I'm like, okay, Nancy. Sure.
Okay, Nancy.
So what I heard that resonated with me was that this universe that we're in has like a humanoid structure, and that's why like the Greys, Lemurians, Arcturians, whatever, like even the bird people, the mantis people, they're humanoid. They have the two legs, they got the two arms, even though the mantises are like that. But they're all like from this base of the universe, and that the universe, so it's said that every other race is fully cognizant of like being connected and like, okay, we're a part of the universe, like we're a part of God, like, and they don't really have like this separation that we have, and that this that we're in is called the Lucifer experiment, which is actually where we sense that we are cut off from God so that it can be more immersive. Because if we all felt like we're a part of the Godhead, and like say that would be like telepathy and everything, like I would know exactly what he's gonna do, you would know exactly what I'm gonna say.
It's no fun.
Yeah, it would be less fun. It would be less immersive. And so the Lucifer experiment is all about separation and feeling like you're this solo entity as much as you can be, just so that the universe itself or God itself can experience as much as it can what it would be like to have another being around. Because in the beginning of things, the universe was lonely. It was the only thing. And so it's like it started as the single source, but then it decided, okay, like I'm just here by myself in this void. It's just me. Let me see about separating into like a masculine and a feminine, like a god and goddess energy. Like, okay, now I can play with like, I'm going to have a receptive side and I'm going to have a projective side. And then it just continued to filter out, and that's what the flower of life is like the symbology of that expansion. Am I going too
Exactly
deep?
what I was talking about earlier. So the expansion, you know, the spectrum growing wider, and it's just like a cell reproducing. And then at some point it gets like so out there that it just comes back in, and then it does it over again.
Well, I'm glad that you said that the Earth is expanding, because you know they keep adding more lanes to the highway. We got like 5 lanes in each direction at some places, and other highways we need a couple extra lanes.
Facts.
You know, it's getting packed.
Or a couple, maybe less cars.
That's
We
the
know they
Canadian
have
in me.
teleportation by now. Just let us have it, man.
Facts.
Let me teleport to my grandma's house. She can have her own little number. And we don't got to give out the number to everyone. And then if you want to go somewhere that's like, you know, a big poppin' place, like I want to come to Mount Shasta, you can have a little gate like an airport, right? Still check us out when we arrive, whatever. But just let us teleport. Like, why do we need these roads through the forest smacking into deer?
Yeah.
All right?
We almost hit like 10 deer
I
on
killed
the
a
way
fawn about 2 weeks ago. I'm still very upset about it.
here. I hit a rabbit on the way here. Like, it's just a lot of danger driving on the road.
Now we're really going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, facts.
I'm sorry. I got off the train.
We can have a little gate like an airport. What is skin made? What is hair for?
Yeah, I just hit a rabbit, which is also a hare.
It was a hair, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this whole God thing, you know, it's like, wow, who do you identify with? It all comes back, you know, I feel like all conversations are full circle, you know, and it's like it's like a fractal with identity, right? It's like, you know, like I could be God, maybe with like a lowercase g, and then there's like a greater like God that like, you know, creator of like the whole like universe, multiverse, and then maybe we also have like a God above us that's our creator, that was the genetic scientist that spliced the lizard and monkey DNA together to make us, you know, and maybe like the bird humanoids and the cat humanoids like have their own like God who was the genetic scientist that made them, and like who's the God to the new tomato that is sweeter? It's the genetic person who spliced the genes to make that. But then who created that farmer genetic scientist, dude? There's a greater God. So I feel like with God, it's like there's, and then we make something and we're to that thing that we made, we're God. Like so there's fractals, like levels to like the God, like who created this, you know what I mean? And so I just feel like at the greatest like summation of it all, it's like there's this like consciousness that we can't really like identify. It's not like the man in the sky that's like reaching out to touch Peter or whatever. It's like there's this fucking like completely unknown like force of creation that's like consciousness. He said, on that note, music is God, universal language.
What is God?
Thank you. Let's do that.
What is God? What is God? What? Who is he? Is God? What is God?
Or who is she?
What is God? What is God? Where did God come from? What is God? What is God? I wanna know. What is God? What is God?
Did God always exist? We don't know.
What is God?
Are you God? Am I God? Are we God? Is there no God?
What is God?
Is Jesus God? Is Fae God?
What is God?
Is this cup of cacao God? It says God on the cup.
Does.
Does say God on the cup. Flint Blade's music is God. Music is the universal language. What? Music is the universal language. God made this. We create this. Said God made us in his own image, but who is he? Why would God not be a she? We already talked about genders being binary. Oh, so why would we pick one? Why would we divide it if that was G-O-D? If God is everything and everyone, how is God some kind of dude? I don't understand that, my dude. Ooh.
What is God?
What is God?
Who is he?
Who is God?
God is my father. God is the creator. God is the creator of everything, heaven and hell. Heaven and the earth. God made it all. What the hell? Why? Why did you make you and I? God, why am I here? To fulfill my purpose. It's clear. It's clear what to be. It's clear. You put me for a purpose. I see. What is God? What is God? What is God?
And why would he make hell?
To show contrast, because you cannot just only experience rainbows and bliss. If you want to evolve in this simulation, you must persist to go through challenges. That's why they make hell when we coming in, because you gotta grow through the suffering.
Well, I meant the hell that you're perpetually stuck in forever if you fuck up.
That one is fucked up.
So fucked up. Don't go there. God gotta be good, you gotta follow all the rules, you gotta be the one who treats others the way that you wanna be treated. But that could be a fallacy if you take it the wrong way. You see, you gotta treat everyone else just perfectly.
What if somebody wants to be abused? What if somebody wants to suffer? Should you treat them that way?
No, don't do that. You gotta bring them out of their suffering.
Yes.
You gotta turn them on to Jesus. You gotta take them to church. Take them to church.
I think nature's my church. I was created since birth. My name is Fungi. I grew in the forest. There is so much for us to explore, and it is really so gorgeous. Where is your church, Flint?
In church.
There was once a kid that called your set church, and it was hilarious.
My church could be in a real physical church. My church can also be wherever I pray. My church can be anywhere, almost anywhere that I say. Church is where God is. Church is where Jesus lives. Church is wherever you see the beauty of the Creator.
Well, if we're creating beauty, then could church be right here in front of this musical equipment? Cause we're equipped with these lips and these fingers to start making music and get it. Thank you so much for that little sound, because it just got me elevated right now. I think church is really right here in this house. You can feel it clearly right now. Church is wherever we're creating through the divine love that we are really making. That's why it's love to which we are awakening. Thank you so much for Flint Blade for getting us sharp so we can say this. Hey, take us to church, Flint.
Okay. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment right now. Let peace begin with me. Let this be my solo vow. So joyfully, I wanna live the way that Jesus did. I wanna live so selflessly, helping everyone along the way. I wanna live the way that Jesus said to do. So look at me go, look at us, just spin around. I like to dance and I like to prance and I like to lift the vibe. I love to sing to the Most High. I love to sing because it makes me feel alive. I love to do all the things that Jesus would. Oh yeah, if only I could. I wanna know, who is he? Where did he come from? What? Who is he? Where did he come from? Where does he go? Is he still with us right now? I think I know. Hi God, I love you.
We look above when we think about God. What about looking below? Cause the tenets of the universal laws is as above and so below. And so we're riding this right now in this rodeo. God is here, God is the spirit that's right here as we're creating this. Moving through the nightmares, we are making this outside the matrix, breaking all of the rules down to their basics. We are the elements creating this now. From the materials of particles, you have a heart of gold. You are the atoms that are splitting. Adam and Eve have come together for this rhythm. My decision is the masculine and feminine imbalance. You know it's resurrected to the palace. God is right here. This is our chalice. This is our temple. This is our chapel. This is the place and space and time where we create. This is God integrated through the psychedelic vibe of the tribe. When he pulls out the Chapman, we keep rapping. Oh yeah.
Still rapping, still going strong. Still rapping candy bars. Still throwing them on the ground. I'm not gonna litter anymore. Not gonna put rappers in the store. Not gonna put anything that doesn't need to be there.
What is God? Who is God? question. Now make your mark, play your part.
What?
God is everything and nothing, and I love it.
What?
Okay. What? Okay. God's in the window, and God's in the wall. God is the sweat that drops down my shoulders, yo. Hey. Have you forgot God? Do you got God? God is good with an less O? I guess so. F it. Let's grow. Let's grow. Maybe God is creation and destruction at the same time.
Help me to remember. Whoa. Help me to remember where to go. Help me to remember. Help me know. Help me to remember where to go. Help me to remember. Help me know. Help me to remember where to go. Help me to remember. Help me know
Help me to remember.
where to go. Help me to remember.
Bam. God is letting go.
That was a good time for a jam, right? That was nice.
That was enlightening, actually.
Okay, memes.
Let's go.
I see a lot of memes, and sometimes I think these memes are created for mind control.
Okay.
Okay, just my hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since a lot of memes are not credited to like the creator, and they're anonymously created. So like, who's making the memes? Some of them are just silly and funny. Here's another thing about memes. There's a platform of meme that's like no one blank. In other words, no one said anything. Me doing something. And I feel like that meme is just so played out, that format, because whatever the punchline is, it didn't require anyone to say nothing. You know what I'm saying?
It is. It's weird.
Like whatever it is that you're doing that's silly, you could be doing that and it's silly regardless of whether or not anyone said anything. So it just feels really played out to me and like just like overdone. I'm like, can't you just make your point without establishing that no one said anything first?
Right.
Like, who cares if anybody said anything or not? You're doing something. That's the point of it. So, and I see a lot of people sharing memes, like when maybe they might have a more nuanced take on the topic than what the meme they're actually sharing.
Usually.
And I wanna like push those people to actually state their actual opinion on the thing rather than just sharing this meme that partially addresses what they actually think about it. Because then they're just sharing this meme that's going to be kind of divisive and like some people are going to attack them for the thing. Some people are going to be like, yeah, that's right on. And the people who are attacking them, suddenly they have to like go and like, look, I don't agree with every part of this meme. I'm just sharing the meme. It's like,
Right,
okay, well, why are
right.
you being so lazy just sharing this meme if you don't completely agree with it and you actually have a take on it? How about actually just like flesh out your thought more? People are just, there's a lot of people that are outsourcing their own thinking on topics and ideas, and they're just like, there's plenty of people who are just like happily just like letting their thoughts be programmed, you know. So that's where I'm at with things.
Yeah, I've been slightly guilty. There's this, you've probably seen this, the one meme where there's like the expansion of consciousness and the brain power. Like the first one is like some dude with a small light on his brain and then like a bigger light, and the light expands. The next thing it's like exploding like supernovas out of his head, like the 4 or 5. And I did one for the Trump shooting.
You created one?
Yeah, I actually made
Cool.
it. Yeah. And the first one was like, man, I try to remember all 4 or how they went, but it's like, you know, Trump was shot and, you know, that's unfortunate, and the Secret Service failed. And the next one was like, you know, the Secret Service like allowed it to happen, and that shooter was part of a play or a plot. And then the next one down the rabbit hole was like, you know, there was actually no gunshots and it was fake blood, and it was basically all staged. And then there was like another one that's like further down the rabbit hole, that like I can't even remember in this moment, but it was sort of like
none of
this
this matters.
evolution.
I'm just gonna go water my garden.
There we go. Yeah, the last one was like, this is all a distraction. Time to water the tomatoes and turn off the TV. You know, and it's like, I was kind of showing that like the final one was like my belief, but I was also presenting all these other different like possible ways of looking at the thing at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hats off to, you know, people that are making their own memes because they want to, you know, they want to like spur like more thought, you know. They want to like actually give people something more to think about and like make people think for themselves. That's cool. You can kind of tell like the intention of the meme, you know, if you actually take the time to like examine it. So in that case, it's not like you're trying to like program people to think a certain way, but maybe you are
Given examples of different modes of thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, by displaying that, like the biggest enlightened thought would be that this is a distraction, was the message that I wanted to convey. You know, with the Trump shooting, it was my belief that that was primarily, you know, part of this TV show that I spoke on earlier that is intended in the agenda, like you said, mind control, to distract us from, you know, basically whatever it is we're here to do, which I really think is to team up and to, you know, you're talking about taking the corporations down and stuff earlier. It's like to team up and take our power back rather than rely on the powers that they presented to us.
You think it was faked?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fake blood?
Like a movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't think there was actually a bullet that grazed his ear?
No, I don't.
Why would the Secret Service be watching him from across the rooftop already and let him get so many shots off before taking him down? Like, they were so spread out, you know? Like, first shot, he would be gone. He'd be gone.
Right.
But it was like, what, 9 shots? And it was like so sporadic. Like, there's just no way that it happened like that. And then, yeah, the whole just...
Do you have
Slap it on.
a belief on
And he
what
took
happened?
that dope picture afterward. Like, he clearly posed for that photo with the Secret Service in front of the freaking, like, come on now. They would rush you to the hospital. They wouldn't be like, okay, sir, let's take this photo, like, for your social media if that's true.
And he's like, fight.
No, nah.
It's an
Not buying
interesting
it.
scenario. I'm interested to hear if you have any viewpoints on it.
I don't know. It's there's so many conspiracy theories that it's so hard to get to the bottom of it that, you know, then I'm just like, all right, time to water the tomatoes. like you
Word.
said, you know,
Word.
because it can
Tomatoes
just
are so good.
it can just be maddening.
Yes.
Like it's just like it just hurts the brain, and like the deeper you try to go, the more you're just like running in circles, and there's so many of these things that there's no end to it. So
And is it actually relevant to like your purpose and your mission? Probably not. So that's why I don't even watch the news or look at politics or anything like that. I hardly go on social media. I ain't got time for that.
So if there's a power that be that's putting these memes out, then that same power is running the political show. The word government means control the mind, mind control, and entertainment is to enter the mind. And so memes and this show that we watch with Trump being shot, it's all entertainment. Memes and the TV show is all entertainment. It's all meant to train our mind and control our minds and control the way that we think and what we believe.
well, I've heard that before, government, because ment is mental, but I don't know if that particular suffix is the same as.
They say the etymology to ment is mind. Like, would it be Latin etymology? I don't know the etymology. That's just what I heard.
It could have. I've heard people say that. I don't know if it totally applies, because the English language is mixed from multiple different languages, and it's just a suffix that's meant like. What about containment or like enjoyment? Are these all supposed to be like words that refer to the mind?
Yeah, right. I don't know. The English language is so... I do believe that we are using a language that also was purposely designed to confuse us and take away our power. I think the English language has sort of been constructed with a lot of words meaning specifically the opposite of the etymology. Like, for instance, nice, like we say nice, like you're being a nice person. That was nice, like that word actually means ignorant. And there's a trillion examples like that where we're using a word constantly that actually, by the root of it, means something completely
Like
different.
the old definition of it or something?
Like the true etymology, the old definition, yeah.
It's worth examining.
It is.
That's for sure.
It's important.
Well, I was going to say earlier just that, you know, we've had some very thick conversations here. And I think it's really cool that we are all able to, you know, voice our own perspectives and opinions. And, you know, we're not like getting mad at each other for having a different opinion. It's
Important.
like, you know, there's space for it. And that's the point of the podcast. I think that they're, you know, society in general could have some room to grow, and like just allowing to acknowledge other people's opinions without just like attacking them for having that opinion.
Let's ask questions. No, that's what I'm trying to do. Is like, you know, like you're telling me this thing that's like, okay, what is God? Who is God? Like that's the way that we're going to learn, because, you know, I don't know it all. You don't know it all. And, you know, it's really easy to allow the trigger to turn into a reaction to come at somebody for having a differing belief. But really, it's just like, this is the life experience that has led up to this belief. And let's try to, you know, understand where that has come from so that we can understand people more, have more compassion, and then awaken to the love that connects us all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah, the love that connects us all. Yeah, I love to see ideas and concepts that, you know, bring people together more. Like you can tell when there's a force that is giving more people joy, and, you know, we're all coming together for it, rather, and not coming together for the sake of like opposing something else, but just for the sheer joy and the love of the thing.
Like our cipher last night we co-created.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people came together because this was a joyful activity. It's not because it's not it would be different if you were like, this ecstatic dance sucks, we gotta get people out of there, we gotta overpower this dance and like let them know that this is the cool thing that's happening. You did it after the dance so that just
Continue the vibe and
continue the vibe and build on it.
like a new way to explore,
Yeah.
with even greater co-creation. Hey, this is almost like an open mic. Before it was reserved to the artists who were pre-chosen. Like, let's give everybody a voice and expand on that vibe that's already been cultivated by y'all, which was beautiful. Like, let's allow a container for that to see what else it wants to develop into.
Yeah. Well, something that popped into my mind when you were doing your thing, and it's so beautiful that that you're using what you have to create a little scene. I think you could just keep building on it, and like even with the lighting, take the lighting like a few steps ahead.
Oh, you mean not just 2 headlamps
From
from trees?
Right.
Like if we had these,
Right, if you had these or just something like that, within your means, whatever you can afford or whatever, just like give it a little more so that it looks like, hey, this almost looks like a stage that's out here,
I'm here for it.
right?
Let's get that money up.
have
Let's get a
some-
bigger car.
We have some Christmas lights somewhere.
I swear. I'm all about it. Like,
booth
this is
lights.
beautiful that you carry this around with you, Like, I, unfortunately, am driving a small Subaru where our camping stuff just barely fits. But, like, yes, absolutely, to expand the production. Because this is what I do. This is what you do. Like, let's, take the show to the next level. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a hype vibe. Just seeing people just like making something out of nothing.
Yeah, being resourceful.
Yeah, it's great. Well,
Feels good.
it's been a good one.
It has been.
Should we close it with one more jam?
I'm down for that. Also open to chat real quick about these things as well.
Yeah. Don't let me forget about that.
Let's
What do you got?
Let's just say real quick the shout outs to
You got some products?
to the stuff that the Fungi Flows team is down with. So, we'll be quick about it, but the Shilajee from Vibe Med X is a squad that we get down with, supercharged with the scalar energy, which I'm going to pull out here
And what
in a
is
minute.
Shilajee?
So Shilajee is basically a resin from the mountains. So at different elevations, you can extract rocks that basically compressed plant matter over thousands, millions of years has turned into this resin that's on these rocks. You extract that resin, and that is basically a very mineral-rich, high in amino acids, fulvic acid, humic acid substance that sort of replaces the minerals that we've lost in the soil, which has been, pretty much raped of its nutrients. A lot of what we're growing in monoculture, the soil has been depleted of its nutrients, and so this is one way to get it back. Another great way is sea moss.
You enjoy you ingest this
But
stuff?
yeah, you ingest it. If you're open for it, I can actually let you try one of the Vibe Med X newest products, which is the 200 milligram tablets. You could take this down with your drink if you have any more, or you can just let it dissolve on your tongue and feel the taste, which is something that I like to do. Not everyone loves the taste. It's very earthy. It tastes different to different people, but I'm a big fan of it. Faye, would you like to partake? How are you feeling right now? I'm
Sure.
gonna take one. You're down. Are you down?
I'll take some Shilajee.
Okay, so we're
I've
gonna
had it
all try a
before.
tab. That's 200 milligrams. That's pretty much a good daily dose. So yeah, trace minerals, all natural, and it's just pressed resin.
Oh yeah, there's that Shilajee taste.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
You don't have to hang out with it if you don't want to.
I will.
I'm totally hanging with it. So that's the Shilajee. We'll move on to the cordyceps. So this is all about energy. This is about like Shilajee can replace coffee. Okay, we want to get energy without caffeine, without a crash. This is the most energizing mushroom. Being fungi, of course, I get down with the mushrooms. Cordyceps, the company that we like is Buffed. They are local close to Pittsburgh, and they grow it all themselves with love. So this is just straight up cordyceps, which is a very interesting mushroom. It's been very popularized recently for sort of being this zombie mushroom because it can take over the brain of insects and lead them to different places, eventually kill them, use their exoskeleton to sprout a new mushroom and send their spores off into new places.
The
Very,
Last of Us video game.
yeah,
I've heard of that.
very interesting mushroom. So if you need to enhance your performance, this basically adds oxygen to your blood if you want to take your game to the next level and get energy into your life by using the power of the mushrooms. Then we get down with buff cordyceps. The last one that is my favorite. It's my favorite purchase of all time. It's not only just incredible to see, but it is also a healing device. This is the scalar projector built by our friend, the Black Airbender. And this is basically shooting out electricity that can be used like electric acupuncture. Now, we're very much still learning and understanding what scalar energy is, but it's working in a plasma state. So we have our typical states of matter, solid, liquid, gas. Plasma is a fourth. It's also like there's plasma in your blood and in your piss. This is working in the state of plasma, which can be sort of a weird thing that's hard to understand. It can get into the quantum fields of doing very odd things that we, in the physical world, is hard to quantify. So the scalar energy is very unique. We're still studying it and learning it. But this gun has harnessed the power of the scalar and shoots electricity, and you can do pinpoint healing on basically any pain in your body, but it's really effective for nerve damage. Also can help repair scars. So recently we had some hosts. They had ankle pain, elbow pain, arm pain, tendon pain, and
Absolute numbness. in the
numbness. Yep. And this brought back the sensation for them, and this helped to heal them. So
So that thing's like a zapper.
it is like a Tesla coil zapper.
foot. It's like one of those orbs that you want to touch the inside as a kid, but you can't get in there. You can get in there.
Yeah, so this is not only just incredible to see, and it's just like a wow, like, you know, bring people together, like, hey, put your hand out, let's do some reflexology, because every point in your hand and your feet are tied to your body. So by doing the electric acupuncture on your hands and your feet, you're healing your whole body. But not only is it just a wow factor, but it is a true healing device, and yeah, it's very loud. But I'm a very big fan of this, so I have discount codes and affiliate links for all of this. So
I'll take a zap.
you know, bam, you ready? So yeah,
Now, what's wrong with your fingy? You got a Band-Aid.
Yeah, what
you could
happened
zap
there?
that.
I cut my finger when I was chopping veggies earlier.
Oh, yeah.
let's heal your
Or-
finger. Let's do some work on that.
It was sourdough bread, actually.
Oh, sourdough's good.
So this is really good. Like we said, helping with scars. So like if it's a bad cut, you know, it could help to reduce the scarring. The whole idea is that disease and lack of healing comes from a low voltage in the cells. This is recharging the cells. This is bringing the voltage back into the
Let me
cells
take the Band-Aid off.
to facilitate healing.
I'll take some directly on the cut.
Bam.
Okay.
Let's turn it down. Let's turn. That was full power. Let's go a little bit lower for you since it's sensitive.
No more on the
Okay,
cut.
we're good.
I'll take some on this hand
Okay.
now.
Yeah,
Let's
you
turn it
balance
back
'em
up
out.
then. So, yeah, this is just one way to support the Fungi Flows movement. Is any of these products, we give you a discount code, and it's also supporting us as well. So, you know, we bring good things to you that help to energize you and heal you, and you support our travels and our movement along the way.
And if you like fairy crafts,
Okay.
I make little fairy houses
Yes.
and doors and actual little fairies and spirit animals and stuff. So, Fae Wildflower Creations on Instagram.
Hey.
They're amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Wow. Some people are just like hustling T-shirts with prints on them.
Mhm.
Others are bringing fairy houses and ray guns.
We're on our level. We do have T-shirts too, though.
No shame on the T-shirts.
Hey, come on
I
now.
actually have some friends that they sell T-shirts with their band logo, and they get the T-shirts from thrift stores.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
And then they screen print
Best way.
themselves.
Best
Yeah,
way to
that's
do
the
it.
fun
That's
way.
like-
Absolutely.
That's a vibe. I don't know why I haven't started doing it yet. I've been
us
wanting
too.
to.
It's a part of the game. And like you said, it takes a team. You want to have somebody to help with the podcast. You know, we need merch people like You know, we're working to build a team because we can't do it all. You're an incredible musician. You spend a lot of your time doing things like this. You're at the Ecstatic Dance last night. You're here today with us. You know, like we, you know, put out the call to help. Like, you know, we're not here to do it all by ourselves.
For sure.
Yeah.
Much love, dude. And by the way, thanks again for coming on the podcast.
Hey, we're here, bro. Grateful,
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah, this was a good one.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, final jam to close it out, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get it.